Welcome back to Catalina Island. So now we're going to do our return trip. We had a nice lunch here at this lovely restaurant, bought some souvenirs, and came out. And when we came out, we noticed that the weather has completely changed. Surprise, surprise. Um, yes, this can happen quite a lot out here. So we have quite a lot of clouds up there. And wind has changed slightly too. Oh, we should be okay. And oh, look at that. While we were in there, somebody gave us a brand new paint job here. Really nice looking paint job there. Can I go over? Oh, yes. There we go. Microsoft Flight Simulator. Great. So let's jump back into the airplane. I've already done the pre-flight to save us some time. Everything is ready to go. Engines are running. Beacon light is on. And yeah, we're all set to go. So what I have done is for nav 2, I have tuned in the VOR here in Catalina Island. And for nav 1, I have tuned in the other VOR we need at Santa Monica. And we're on a CTAF frequency here, but we're not going to be using radios today. So what we did not do yet is tune in the GPS. But first I want to show you here on the CDI. So if I press the CDI button, it's now tuned to GPS. Now it's on VOR 1, and now it's on VOR 2, which is over there. And VOR 1 is probably a bit far away, huh? Well, it looks okay, actually. So, going back and pressing my PFD button here, I can change my bearing 1 needle here to nav 1 or to nav 2, depending on what I want. So I'm going to leave bearing 1 off for the moment, and I'm going to use bearing 2 because I'm using nav 2. You don't have to, but it just makes it easier for me. So we're tuned in. So we're probably going to head off there on the 352 from that VOR. If anyone's interested in more of an explanation of VORs, I can do that sometime. I don't want to make this too dull, so I'll just throw in a little bit of information every now and again. So now I'm going to switch over here to my MFD on the right, and I bring up my flight plan. And by twisting these, okay, so I'm going to put in KAVX here. Which is the code for Catalina. Look on the other direction. So that's Catalina Island. We hit enter key on that. And the next one we're going to put in is going to be our route. I believe it's VP. SLR. LSR. There. And then the next one, I guess you've already guessed it, will be sorry. Go back. We'll go back. Normally the clear button will take me back. Oh. So we seem to have a problem here with this. What about it? So I'm using a real sim gear G1000, but maybe Use this clear button over here. Okay. I just picked something there, and now I will change it. KSM. Okay. So I can clear that. Good. There we go. So now is our flight plan also on the GPS. So we can use a VOR and a GPS, either or a combination of both, which is pretty good when you have both. I like to set up both, tune them in. So, you know, if one should fail, the other one should work. So now I can just get over the flight plan screen here for a minute and do the all important zoom out just to make sure that everything is correct. It is. KAVX, and then onto the VP LSR, which we should be doing at 2,500 feet, and then over to KSMO. So we have some flight areas there. We have some airspace over here. We don't want to go into above 8,000. That shouldn't be a problem. So we're going to take off here, have a little look, and see if the old casino is there on the island. And then we're going to fly back over to Santa Monica Airport. So let's go then. Taxi lights on. Everything is on here. Parking brakes are going to come off. Parking brake switch I can only set to toggle for some reason, which is a little annoying. Not quite sure why that is. It would be nice if Microsoft would put a setting in there and give me an option for an actual on and an actual off. So I can press the wind button here actually and bring up the wind. I like option 3 for some reason. So we're going to have a slight little bit of a tailwind, not much. Mostly the crosswind is what we need to worry about. So I can feel it there if I make the rudders here. If I take the power off and make the rudders neutral, it's pulling off to the left there. It's weather vaning into the wind basically. Okay. So now we're on runway 4. So non-towered airport, so we would make our call here and say Catalina traffic, 226 Lima Delta, departing runway 4. So let me turn off my taxi lights, turn on my landing lights. We've already done our run up. It's a bit cloudy. I'm going to turn on the nav lights and the strobe lights. I'm going to take off. And then we're going to go left and down to get a better view. Down there. So, full throttle. Getting used to this new Honeycomb Bravo. It's actually really, really nice. I like it a lot. So, I'm going to keep my wing down there for a crosswind. The runway looks very short from here because of the hill, but don't panic, we have plenty of space. 2 windsocks there. It's very interesting. Not very common. And then you can do what somebody once told me was like James Bond takeoff, where you kind of dive down here to gain some speed. I don't need full power here now actually, because I am deliberately going to go down a little bit. So Catalina is rendered really, really nicely. The thing about it is, the only thing that is not there really is the cliff faces. The cliff faces are not very good. I have noticed that when I flew in Ireland, the cliffs of Moher don't actually look really like cliffs at all, to be honest. So hopefully Microsoft will update that, as they are working hard, and the Asobo team is working very hard to give us all of these wonderful updates. And the flight simulator itself is magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. Some things still to go there. Some of the other well-known simulators are probably a bit better for IFR practice, because the G1000 and things like that work much more realistic. There it is. We can see the casino. I don't know if you can see it there on the corner. So we're just going to fly up there and take a quick look at this. A little bit of fog down here, have we? Or is it the reflections of the clouds? No, I don't think it is. So we have an 8-knot headwind. A little bit more power there. I leave my landing lights on for the moment because it's being more visible. Okay. I don't want to get too low. Zoom out here on my MFD. You can see a little bit more of the map. So I was originally going to fly right around Catalina Island, but yeah, the terrain is it just basically all looks exactly like that, which is quite nice actually, but they don't really look like cliffs to me. So this is my second time doing this for the video actually. I had a problem with my computer. The Windows updates failed, and I actually called Microsoft support just as a normal common customer, and they troubleshooted quite a bit with me. But in the end, Windows was just broken, needed to reinstall, so I had to reinstall everything from scratch, which is quite a bit, but I'm getting better at it. And yeah, I put in Streamlabs, and what I forgot to do was to change it to the NVIDIA codec, and just left it run on software. And then when I played the video, I noticed it was a little bit jittery. So we can actually jump back out in our drone now and have a quick look here. So there's Catalina Island. And I'm not like an Xbox gamer, so you can probably tell that according to how I spin around this camera, because I'm using the Xbox controller for it. But that looks amazing there. There's a casino, I remember that. The town here. Stayed there overnight, so my first time here I came out on the boat, the Catalina Express ferry or whatever it was called. Came here, had a nice tour around the area, and then I took the bus up to the airport, which was quite nice. So let's jump back over here. I don't really want to go in there. So these are all fire breaks, and not being Californian, not being American, when I came from the distance on the boat, I thought, wow, that place has a lot of roads. Yeah, they're fire breaks. So now we have a choice. We can tune in to the VOR on Catalina, or we can follow on the GPS and tune into that. So I'm going to spin you down here again, or let's have a look outside the window actually as we're departing again. Oh wow, those graphics are absolutely amazing, aren't they? Just keep our nose up a little bit there. Yeah, that really is fantastic. I still see the slightest jitter in some of the buildings as they pass by, but it does look pretty fantastic. So I'm using live weather at the moment, which I like to always use live weather actually. It just makes things more interesting. One of my first practice videos, sometime, I think the video files are still on my computer. If I find them, I'll try and put them together. I was just using real time and real weather, and Europe here in the evening, so I picked somewhere that had daylight, which was the Christ the Redeemer, and the weather there was not so good, and the autopilot did some very, very strange things, basically trying to kill me really. So and I got quite a shock there. I also got a refresher on some of my human performance factors. When I saw a little gap in the clouds, I kind of headed straight towards it. Forgot to look at my instruments for a second or two, or probably more than a second or two, and practically stalled my airplane almost in a storm, which wouldn't be a very good thing to do. And I did that twice, if you can believe. So that was a real lesson there. So practicing on the simulator can be really good because even though it's just a simulator, you can break a sweat sometimes on this when you have nasty weather. It really is pretty much so involved and so realistic that yeah, can take quite a lot of mental energy. So okay, here we are. So I've already I had set my autopilot. I don't know what happened to that. So let's go up to 6,000 and let's set our vertical speed here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is a nice number for this plane. Okay. And I'm going to turn my heading bug over here to where I'm going, and now I'm going to activate the autopilot. So something really strange I've noticed is ever since I got this Honeycomb Bravo throttle unit, it also has an autopilot on the top of it. So when I didn't have it and I had the old Satex, I was using the Honeycomb Alpha yoke and the real sim gear. And with both of those, I just simply press one button and disengage the autopilot. Now I don't know, maybe it was a Microsoft update that happened at the exact same time I installed the Bravo unit, but now for some reason when I disengage the autopilot, I can do it right now, I just get the red flashing light on the autopilot. Which is, I need to look into that because I don't fully understand why that is. If anybody knows, comment below and let me know. And if anybody likes this, oh, we have traffic there. I can see traffic. Let me bring it back down here to my screen. Yep, we have traffic. So let's jump out and see if we can have a look at that. Should be. No, I don't see any traffic here. So it doesn't give me the altitude of the traffic. There we go, look at that. Yep, so this is it's not another player, this is using live traffic. That's quite interesting to see the live traffic passing overhead. I guess it's a scheduled flight. So, okay, we could look around at that all day, but let's jump back into the airplane. So that brings a bit of life into it as well. That's pretty good. I like that. So we're climbing now at 500 feet per minute, and traffic is passing right across in front of us, but pretty much overhead. 6,000 feet would be nice, because I don't really like to swim that much, to be honest. Let me tune this in out our VOR nav2 set up on Catalina. Double check that. You can tune into it and listen to the Morse code, of course, but here in the G1000 it's nicely just written there, SXC. So if I switch make sure that, there's a mistake that could have happened. You see my CDI here? My CDI is actually on nav1. Now it's on nav2. That's much better. So and my course, 352. So I should have checked there that my course setting was correct before I switched over the autopilot. I should have left it on the heading bug and made sure that my course was correct. But there we go, that's pretty good. And that is actually lining us up pretty well with the GPS course. Now we have more traffic overhead. So I guess we can guess where all of these guys are going, huh? Yeah, that's live traffic. And interestingly, on the map, my little Cessna is the bigger jet of all of them. Interesting. You can actually on the Garmin change that picture. I'm not sure if you can change it here. I'm not going to worry about that too much. So I have my 4 flight over here, which is telling me at this altitude that we would need to be really good swimmers if the engine failed. So it would be nice to be higher, but I don't want to end up in the clouds. So I'm going to stay at 4,000. Leave all my lights on for this. So there in front of us we should see the golf course, which would be a landing spot of refuge, which we wouldn't make right now actually. Adjust my mixture now slightly and see if I get some more RPMs out of the engine. Okay, it's not going to make a whole pile of a difference because our altitude is not that high. We pop out again now and have a look around here. So, hang on. Where's my airplane gone? There we go. That's us. Increased the drone speed once quite a lot and actually lost my airplane. So that's Catalina Island behind us. Great place to go for lunch, guys. Great restaurant, lovely food. Very friendly people up in the information tower. You got to go visit them because you got to pay a landing fee. One of the very few places, the only place I've ever been to in the States actually, where you need to pay a landing fee. So my lights are on there. I don't quite see this this landing light. Oh, is that it? This little candle there. Wow, you don't see that from very far away, do you? And just try now, turn it off. And of course none of these controls seem to work when I'm outside of the airplane. None of the switches. So, for example, if I turn off the nav lights as well, oh, nothing happening there. So that is quite interesting when you're flying with a yoke and a throttle quadrant and everything, and then you're outside in this view, and you actually want to change something on the airplane, nothing really happens. So I guess we should have picked better weather, so you'd see more, but clouds are interesting too, I guess. Yeah. It depends where you came from. So there's a little puff of a cloud there that we might end up going. Is it? Oh, we'll say it's just a little bit of haze. That's what we'll put it down to. So 116 knots. We have a tailwind of 9 knots. So that gives us a ground speed of 130 knots. That's pretty good. So yeah, it will be a quicker flight because I was told the first one was too long. I guess we spent too long pre-flighting. What I would like to do, maybe next time, is to head over there. Oh, look, this is, if I move this now, it jumps back. So head over there to Long Beach and check out the Queen Mary, which I stayed on once, and I think we'll do that in a flight, and then I might share some of my pictures of it. But I did check it out the other day, and it's, yeah, you can see it's the ship, but it's got trees and bushes growing out of it, and yeah, it kind of, I don't know, it looks like a Hollywood scene from one of these apocalyptic movies. Also, the Hollywood sign is up there. So one on one of my trips when I flew back from Catalina, we had plenty time, plenty fuel, and we did go over Long Beach, checked out the Queen Mary, and checked out the Hollywood sign. So what I'm going to do in this, not to make it too long, is we're just going to go back. We're going to follow this corridor in, and then we are going to land in Santa Monica, and then I will do another trip with clear weather and show you guys the Hollywood sign, and then come back, and then we can do another trip and go visit the Queen Mary ship. There will be an update. It should be out around now. 2-3 days, but I heard it's going to be delayed, so the big update number 3 will be delayed until sometime in February. And when it comes out in February, then that's going to be pretty cool. It should be UK and Ireland, so Blarney Castle, places like that. We'll do a few trips around there and check out those cool graphics. And I heard there is going to be another world update for USA. I think they're going to do it in 2 or 3 stages, and hopefully this region here. I mean, it is excellent from here. It looks absolutely fantastic. But definitely some of the landmarks like the Queen Mary and the Hollywood sign. The Hollywood sign is there, but you have to be really close to it before it renders, or at least I do with my graphics. So I have a RTX 2070. Can't get my hands on a 3080, but you know, I'm not sure if it's going to make a terribly huge difference. So, you know, the 2070 was, the marketing was fantastic, but yeah, it made a bit of a difference, but compared to my last card, not a huge pile. But Andy's graphics are really, really good. So I had stutters, I had a lot of stutters, and figured it out. So brought my rendering down to, was it 80 or 90? I'm going to switch over here now. CDI. Let's do this now, right? So this is what we should do, of course, right? What we should have done in the first place is I should bring my heading bug up here to where I'm going, except I have a choice of 350 or 360. I can't actually go in the middle, so let's pick 350. Then I switch the autopilot over to heading mode, so now it's following my heading bug. Then I can change my CDI to GPS, make sure everything is all okay, and now I go to my navigation panel here, and on the left you'll see there's a nav button, so I press nav button, and you'll see on the top of the Garmin PFD there, HDG, that's going to change. Yeah, to GPS, and now it's following the GPS track. So when you're switching from one to the other, it definitely makes sense to have it follow the heading bug. Unless, of course, you know, you're flying manually, which you can also do, then just switch it to manual, keep it going, and then change it to that. So our altitude now, we should be coming down here to 2,500 per this corridor, and then of course we would get to ATC clearance. So vertical speed, I bring it down a bit there, and then I'm going to reduce my power a bit because I don't want to overspeed on my descent. So we can see LAX there, which is great, and we can see, wow, there is people said live traffic was missing. I guess some live traffic is missing for various different calculation rhythms. There was a very good question and answer session on, was it on Twitch or something like that, from the Asobo team, and they did talk about that. But you know, from my point, I don't need to see them all. You know, 3 or 4 of them flying around is quite entertaining. So yeah, look at that. I mean, those houses look really, really great. The hills look great. Golf course there looking really good. The beach, everything. It really does look fantastic. I do get the slightest kind of stuttering movement on some of the buildings, but only on the left window. When I jump out this window, yeah, then they seem to be smoother. So I guess it's the distance. So you may have noticed this is going to be take 2, because what happened was I had dark clouds, I had weather turned on live, and I also had live traffic, and somehow between all of those together, at the end of my video, I'm not quite sure why, but I ended up recording about 1 frame every 10 seconds, which would be good for time lapse, but it looked absolutely terrible. So I changed some settings, changed the weather, and turned off live traffic, and now here I am back. So I'm not sure if that is one of the limitations of my RTX 2070 or not. We will find out. So that's why the weather has changed in this video. We can look out there, we can see LAX in front of us. We're at 2,500 feet. And we are now following the Santa Monica VOR. Following the track 308, we have a slight wind adjustment here because we have only a 2-knot wind, 3-knot wind, but it does seem to make a bit of a difference. So you can see all that there on the display. You'll see over here on my GPS display. I haven't set up the GPS this time, but that's no problem because we can actually see Santa Monica from here and we can see LAX airport. So right now, of course, we would be talking to the controller and telling him we're just passing that Hawthorne and 405 freeway marker. So the GPS track on this and the VOR tracker are very slightly different, but we continue ahead. So Hollywood sign is up there. See if I can do this now correctly with my Xbox controller. There, yeah, it's somewhere on that hill, the bigger of the hills nearest to us, I think. Yeah, it's basically on my 12 o'clock right now, the way I'm looking. And LAX is down there, so that's pretty good. I can flip my view here. You can see the graphics are pretty amazing there. Everything looks really good. Doesn't seem to be jittering anymore. Not here. Let's see what the video looks like later. And over here, this is pretty good. So the weather now has become very, very nice. Lucky for us. Let's jump outside the airplane. So we have our nice livery here for Microsoft Flight Simulator. So the livery is basically the aviation word for the paint job. There's the beach over there, which is a really, really nice beach and goes on forever. I was actually on Newport Beach one day in the morning. I got up early, set off to wander down the beach, and my Californian friend asked me where I was going, and I said I'm going to go down to the end of the beach. And he said that's called Mexico, he said to me. So the beaches here are a little bit longer than what I'm used to. So here's LAX. Now I did have live traffic turned on, but I have turned live traffic off now because it was just stuttering, lagging. But that looks pretty amazing, doesn't it? Okay, so there's our what should I call that? Is it a levee or something? I don't know. River, stream. Anyway, that is our second point to watch out for here as we're passing over LAX. So we would be, of course, requiring clearance for this pass. But I've done it before and it's been really cool. If you watch the first video, of course, you'll see I threw in some pictures at the end that I tried to take out the window. Of LAX flying over. So they're real pictures, but it actually looks a bit better here in the simulator. So hopefully if you like this, subscribe, and then you will hopefully, if you subscribe and turn alerts on, you'll get a notification when I make the next one. So the next video will be, I guess we'll take off from Santa Monica Airport again and fly over and check out the Hollywood sign and come back. So that should be a fairly quick flight. Another trip I'd like to do is down look at the Queen Mary. It's not too far from here, but at the moment the Queen Mary has trees and bushes growing out of it, so I'm hoping on the next update, or one of the next updates, they will fix that. It's pretty cool out there, yeah? So of course we've autopilot turned on right now, yeah? I turn on my landing lights, getting ready for that. Make myself a bit more visible. Nav lights on, nav lights off. Of course, these switches don't make any difference when you're not in the cockpit. Marina is really nice. Look at that. It's a lovely place. Okay, so let's jump back into the cockpit because we're getting pretty close. So we can turn the autopilot off, and I'm back to my red blinking light again ever since I installed the Bravo throttle quadrant, but I guess that's also something that they're going to work on. Next update should be coming out probably next week, which is really good. Looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it a lot. There's Santa Monica Airport. That's where we're going. So we're a little bit high for the entering the pattern now, but we are on the simulator. And I got a little bit distracted there, jumping out of the airplane, flying the drone around. I guess that's probably why real world pilots are not allowed to fly their drones along beside them at the same time that they're flying. So I reduce my power, slow down a little bit. View out there is absolutely fantastic, and it really does look like this in the real world. So I can't wait till they fix up this area, handcraft a bit of it. Hollywood sign can't see it quite from here. You've got to be a bit closer to it. But yeah, we can figure that out. Okay, so we can put down a notch of flaps. We can make sure landing lights are on. That's great. So Santa Monica should be out here, out the window. There we go. There we have the end of it. We'll come across this giant freeway here. Turning on our base. And I'm really hopeful now that it's not so stuttery this time as I make my approach. I need to get the 3080 card, but you know, all that marketing that they do, it doesn't really inspire me to believe them all the time. My last upgrade was not as good as I thought it would be. So would normally go a bit more there on the turn, but I just wanted to turn here a little bit so that you can see the airport. Okay, so I'm going to give it another notch of flaps. My speed should be around 65 coming in here, so that's good. And we've got 2 notches of flaps out, so the third notch of flaps on the Cessna, of course, provides quite a lot of drag. So get a bit closer, and now we put out the third notch of flaps. Get my speed here a little bit faster by putting the nose down. We have some big trees and bushes here that I don't remember being there when I was there, so in the real world we just hop over those. And here we come. So now we can level out a bit, and then oh, I pulled up a little bit too much there, and keep flying, keep flying, keep flying, and there we go. We have touchdown, and hopefully somewhere close to that white line. So what I like to do here is now, before I taxi off the runway, I normally like to put up the flaps, and I'll show you why. You see, you can't really see everything out there with those flaps down. So put up our 3 notches of flaps. And of course now we look out, and now we can see that truck, which we wouldn't probably have been able to see with the flaps down. We can try it again and just double check. Put the flaps down. Yeah, you see, you don't really see what's on the road there. Nope. So give a slight touch of the brakes here. Turn off here. That's a very wide sweeping turn there. Of course, if you're really flying, you wouldn't be demonstrating the view with the flaps up or down. So let's pull in here. They seem to be parked sideways today for some reason, so we will do the same. There's probably a reason for that. Come in here, stop here. We can look out there, very nice. Let's check our view. Here we are. Very good. Okay, a little bit more sideways in there. That's fine. So that's Santa Monica Airport. Looks very, very nice. Graphics are really good. It's not handcrafted yet, so I guess there will be some big improvements to it. And yeah, so you can see over here across the other side of the runway there's some kind of really strange rock formations, And there's a lot of trees and bushes in places where they wouldn't normally be. That's kind of the same way the area around the Queen Mary looks. So we will visit that on an update next time. So into our plane, and here we go. So we turn off our avionics first, and we turn off all our lights except for the beacon light. With this G1000, we're going to leave our master on, pull our mixture back, which is going to kill our engine. Then this wonderfully annoying thing pops up here. I don't know how or why or how to get rid of it and stop it popping up. If anybody knows, please let me know in the comments, but it's very annoying. Okay, engine off, everything else off, shut down. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and would love if you subscribed, and I'm going to make another video as soon as I get a chance to go over and check out the Hollywood sign. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.